I just wanted to give you a little bit of a perspective. I spend most of my time on conservation issues on the national level, and Tom Smothers, my brother here, spends it on the state level. To date myself a little bit. First I want to tell you, I'm a Chief Executive Officer of Eastern Mountain Sports. I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a capitalist. As a matter of fact, I bought Eastern Mountain Sports in 2004 with the intention of saving the company. It was troubled. For those of you who do not know that, it is now out of trouble and well on its way to a very profitable future. Having said that, I want to point out that right now we employ roughly, between full and part-time employees, 1,500 people in the northeastern United States, from the mid-Atlantic to the north coast of Maine. 400 of those employees are in New Hampshire. We would like to double that. As a matter of fact, we are now poised to grow in the state of New Hampshire and New England and beyond. We are private equity held. My partners and I have focused very hard on making sure we can migrate the Eastern Mountain Sports brand beyond its current borders. We can't do that with outdoor recreation being robustly supported by both the public and the private sectors. Let me give you some data. 49% of Americans ages 6 and older participated in outdoor sports in 2009. Most of this data comes from the Outdoor Recreation Economy Report, which is from the Outdoor Foundation. Roughly 10.1 billion visits to state parks and national parks in 2009 by Americans. 62% of those were children from the ages of 6 to 12. Active outdoor activities typically decline with age, and by the way, those participants under the age of 16 under the age of 16, that participation has declined by 16% year over year in the aggregate. 90% of active participants in the outdoors and outdoor sports learn those activities between the ages of 5 and 18. Unfortunately, with today's diminishing local parks and close-to-home recreation venues, that is changing, in addition to the other side of the equation, where roughly 7 hours a day is spent by today's youth behind an electronic screen of some kind, and less than 4 minutes are spent recreating outdoors. This is a dramatic change in 30 years. This is the future of this country and this state. Let me also point out that the debate that we had nationally for over a year on health care, let me point out that the United States of America spends over $200 billion on obesity-related health care problems in the U.S. Childhood diabetes is on the rise, and many children in the next decade will contract childhood diabetes. Liver disease is now on the rise among our youth. Some other data in terms of the business data that concerns me. On the national level, this is a report that was finished in 2006 and is currently being updated. It's the Outdoor Recreation Economy, currently being updated for Secretary of Salazar, but it will be due in the spring. The outdoor recreation economy contributes $730 billion annually to the U.S. economy. That's all in. That's all outdoor. That's hunting, fishing, hiking, triathlon, the whole 9 yards. It supports 6.5 million jobs, generates $88 billion in national and state tax revenue, generates $280 billion in retail sales, and is roughly 8% of today's Americans' consumable dollars. Yet we are all too often called tree huggers and environmentalists. Let me point out to you, again, I want to remind you, I'm a capitalist through and through. New Hampshire, the outdoor recreation economy supports 53,000 jobs. Okay, $4 billion annually in retail sales, and that's roughly 8% of the gross product. Figure that percent of total jobs out in New Hampshire, it's a pretty big chunk. Congress in 1965 enacted the Land and Water Conservation Act. In its 45-year history, it's only been fully funded twice in 45 years. Yet that is the single biggest piece of legislation that we rely on for close-to-home recreation for today's youth. Unfortunately, in the lame duck Congress that turned out to be not so lame, it did not receive the funding that we had hoped it would. Support was strong. Senate Bill 2747 which was really spearheaded by two Republican senators. Senator Richard Burr from North Carolina was one of them. This state Senator Judd Gregg was a big supporter, signed onto the letter. Senator Scott Brown, allegedly supported by the Tea Party when he was voted in. They were Republican leaders that supported this conservation initiative and did not see the light of day in Congress. So my only point is, before I introduce my colleague and friend, is that the business of recreation and conservation is business, and this state's future relies on it. So with that,